Hi, Jonathan Shrag here, SecondsOut, joined today by Joe Gallagher, ahead of the Glory Road card on Saturday at the Manchester Phones Arena. How are we doing, Joe?
Not too bad, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good stuff. Well, first of all, before I ask you about the fights a little bit, I was going to ask you about yourself. A sort of mini documentary series on Sky Sports coming out on after the fight on Saturday, entitled I Am Joe. Can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, listen, just a bit shocked and honoured about it. Sky phoned up and they said they want to come down to the gym one day, and I thought, as usual, it's to do with the fighters, they want to come down filming because of the busy schedule we've got. Obviously the 5 on Saturday, the 3 in Germany, so that was it. And when they came down here and they filmed and everything else, and then it was only afterwards they were sort of like saying, oh, we've got to do a little piece on yourself. So listen, I was flabbergasted and honoured to have had something done, but like I say, that's it, not much to say really. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your sort of achievements are well documented within UK boxing especially. So, you know, rightly you're getting plaudits and the attention. Is it nice, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, you as a trainer you might want to deflect the attention a little bit onto the fighters, but is it nice from a personal perspective to be receiving the exposure? Yeah,
it's nice, but I was really pleased in it that the amount of kids that got exposure on it. Marcus Morrison making his pro debut featured in it, Scott Cardle, kids that necessarily wouldn't got it, and I'm really pleased about that first and foremost. Everything else, listen, it's great, it's on there, it's on Sky. Family in Ireland are very happy, family in Australia are happy, so it's good. And at the end of the day, as a parent myself, all you want to do is do the best that you can do and see your children do the best that you can do. So hopefully my parents and my family are proud and my children are, and that's it. But it's all about the fighters at the end of the day, and listen, if the fighters weren't winning, there'd be no pats on the back, so we've got to switch on now for Saturday night.
Absolutely, yeah. And when the card was first announced with the names, like you sort of alluded to it there in the press conference, with Anthony Crolla, obviously we're hoping for a world title shot. It didn't quite materialise this time around. Did you understand the criticisms from, say, casual boxing fans who might not be fully aware of lesser marquee names, shall we say, that were a bit disappointed, that would prefer to have seen Anthony obviously fighting for a world title against a big name?
Yeah, definitely. I think, listen, I sound like a parrot, and I'm sure Eddie Hearn does. The last 3 times he's sat here, he's turned around and says, well, after Gavin Rees I'll get Crolla world title, after Steve Foster I'll get Crolla world title, after John Moore I'll get Crolla world title. So he's had to come into town, and I'm sure he's got to get some flack here in Manchester for not being able to deliver that world title, but there's no way in the world he can be allowed back into Manchester now unless he's got a world champion beside him on that table. And I think that's what the Manchester fight fans want to see, and that's what I think they need to stress to Eddie Hearn, that they want it. He's more deserving of it, and more so if he wins on Saturday night. And first and foremost, that's a huge fight Saturday night, and we look at that with the style of the kid and everything else as a world title eliminator in our eyes. Win this and bang, we've got it. Yeah,
and you kind of mentioned Eddie there. I'm not looking for anything controversial here, but obviously, you know, his job as a promoter, he's promised to deliver, and maybe not quite materialised. Is it a criticism of Eddie, or is it the nature of boxing and politics that these fights are difficult to...
Listen, he's working on all fronts, so he's got a massive stable, match room, and he's trying to get all the fighters. Obviously he's delivered for me for Paul Smith for that, for Abraham. He's trying to get Stephen Smith his world title shot, Quigg a big unification, and obviously with Anthony. And listen, I get loads of people moaning to me all the time, listen, Crolla, I thought you said it was world title, and I only try and relay that onto Eddie. And for people that keep giving me stick, well, Eddie's in town now, he'll be at the show Saturday night. If you see him, get on his case and say to him, where's Crolla's world title? But at the same time, it's also boxing politics. All the lightweights are all fighting this month and October in the world, so once the dust settles from all of that, Beltran Crawford November, we'll see what the picture's like, but all Anthony's got to do is make sure he keeps winning and he can't be ignored then.
Yeah, and what specifically about Gamaliel Diaz, I think I pronounced that right, do you see that poses a problem for Anthony? Obviously
he's got world-class experience, he's a world champion, he only lost the title last year in Japan, he's beat Jorge Linares, a very good fighter, and he's got to present problems and punches and angles that Anthony's not seen before. And I feel the sparring that we do at the wild card in America, I think it's got to help Anthony in this fight, the rounds that he's doing with Ray Beltran and everything, giving this Anthony this self-belief, and he'll need that on Saturday night.
And do you, because last time out against Murray, you were very vocal in stating that you believed that he would finish Murray, as he went on to do. This time around, you alluded to it there about the latter rounds, potentially the crowd playing a factor. Do you think this one is going the distance?
Yeah, I see this as a distance fight. I do really feel Anthony will have his moments. I think Diaz will have his moments, but I do feel like the Gavin Rees, and he really finished strong down that straight, and the crowd got behind him. They're giving Anthony Croll a cheer, and they've really got to do this Saturday night. They've really got to do it. And I know the city was divided last time, red and blue, but Anthony's a good kid. He loves Manchester. He's a credit to Manchester. And I just want everyone in Manchester to come out and get behind their kid, and let's see him get a world title shot.
Absolutely. And then, of course, Scott Quigg. You've been inundated with this question for years, so you're bored a bit, I should imagine. But the obvious fight with Carl Frampton, obviously not overlooking Saturday's opponent. You mentioned it there, Old Trafford. Do you think, obviously, it's a fight that is talked about extensively within boxing circles? Do you think it is a fight that realistically could sell out Old Trafford?
Yeah, definitely. I think, listen, Groves and Froch, we've seen what we did at Wembley this year. Carl Frampton says he's got 16,000 turned out of them. Fantastic achievement, winning the world title. Great. The Irish know the way to Old Trafford. They're over here every weekend. So that'll be a great fight. Will that be Old Trafford cricket ground or football ground remains to be seen? And Old Trafford, I'm sure, listen, they like to be associated with the great night that was there with Ben and Eubank. And I think it's time for that stadium to have a huge event like that. Obviously, Etihad had Ricky Hatton when he had his fight, his 50 odd, and I think the time the bell goes in this fight, there'll be people clamouring for tickets. The banter between both camps, and not only that though, the two fighters. It's knowing what's happened. The first one to land will knock the other one out. And I do feel like Scott Quigg will just have too much for him. And it was a great performance by Carl. I'm not going to run the kid down. He'll come with a game plan. But I know what Scott Quigg's capable of, and we just can't wait to burst that bubble.
And it's one of those fights as well, isn't it, for the purists, in the sense that neither Scott nor Carl are really trash talkers. They tend to let the talking be done in the ring. So it's not one of those that's going to require any animosity, really, to build the fight. No,
listen, there's huge respect between both fighters. And, listen, for myself, and listen, Barry McGuigan was a childhood hero growing up, and they look up to him and everything. But, like I say, it comes to business, and Carl's team, they've dug me out in a few interviews for whatever reason they want to, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of friendly fire between now and then, and the time lads get in the ring.
Lovely. Well, thanks a lot for your time today, Joe, and best of luck on Saturday.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, Joe.